Good day, One Nation Tribal Alliance, brothers and sisters, near and far, across the pond and this side of the lake. Today, I have a special guest with me, Miss Kelly Noble, who is a candidate for Zuni Tribal Council. And she would like to introduce herself and maybe talk about what she's running for or whatever. This is an open mic for her to say whatever she wants to say. So, Kelly, it's all yours.
Well, Greg, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation, first of all. And secondly, just thank you for doing what you do. It takes a lot of courage to be able to put yourself out there and understand certain things and communicate it clearly. So I do appreciate that. Uh, and also, as far as introduction goes, my name is Kelly Noble, and I am from the Zuni Pueblo. I am half Zuni and half Tsalaki or Jalaki and half Cherokee. And I'm super proud of my heritage. Don't talk koi shiwi mapea. Let's not that whole you had though. Listen, but I just, I speak, I will understand it, but I'll answer you probably in English. But that stems from a lot of childhood criticism and all
Yeah.
of that, which, you know what? At this point, I know one of the other candidates had mentioned there's a lot of our Zuni people that are, major bilingual and were raised with English. And so there's an appreciation for that. So one of the things, obviously, is why do I want to run for Zuni Tribal Council? I have probably been politically minded since I was maybe 12, 13. And I used to like have my little, this will age me, but there was a host on television. He mostly hosted sports, and his name was Howard Cosell. And so as a
Speaking of
child,
sports,
I would always, yes, yes. And I would totally grab a brush and be like, this is Howard Cosell,
yeah.
I would be my own newscaster and all of that. But I would always have adults around me that would ask me, hey, do you know what the arms race is? And I'm like, yes, I do. And I would give my, preteen idea of what I thought about war and things like that. And I thought, oh, this is really something that I really love. The other thing that I absolutely love is our country. I've studied constitutions from the Iroquois Constitution to ours and other constitutions, and I've been amazed at how free we are. And I don't want to take that for granted. And further, we as Zuni people have a sovereign status, one which we need to hang on to, and one which we need to understand. And it's not just about, oh, like being on council isn't about just sitting there and going to meetings. Ask any tribal council member. It isn't about that. The reason that I would love to represent my people is because there's so much that we can elevate here. First, the quality of life, physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional. There's so, in my line of work, I've had, I'm a licensed massage therapist where I was introduced to, of course, massage therapy, but all sorts of different types of energy healing. There's still new energy healings coming out that I'm just hearing about, and it's amazing. But what I found through that work is that we have the ability to heal ourselves. We have the ability to heal each other. I'm not talking about like medicine group things because obviously I don't know about things like that, but I'm talking about just having a positive attitude and good energy and really being supportive and living what our Zuni prayers say. And in every Zuni prayer, there's a word in there. Temakwikokshi, Temakwikokshi. And it's so hard for us to have Temakwikokshi, right? Or that happiness, that positivity, all of that. And that's what I love about our culture is it's already ingrained in there. We just need to remind ourselves about that. It's not my job to go around and, preach that kind of thing, but I also love guiding people. In my regular career in public administration, I had the opportunity to serve as a cabinet secretary of Indian Affairs in the state of New Mexico. That was dealing with and interacting with 20 at the time, because I know it's changed, but 23 tribes, nations, and pueblos here in New Mexico alone. What did that entail? That mostly meant meeting with other tribal leaders and really getting across what the governor of New Mexico wanted to work with the tribes with at the time. A lot of their concerns, gaming, and a lot of people say, well, Zuni doesn't have casinos, but we do have gaming rights. So we need people on council who understand all the different facets of tribal government and how they interconnect with the state and with the feds or the federal government, right? And earlier we had talked about, well, you had mentioned about going and advocating. That is why I felt like I have the qualifications to come and represent our Zuni people in certain arenas. Do I know everything? Absolutely not. However, I feel like being a part of a council, we absolutely get to lean on each other's skills, talents, abilities, and knowledge to all work together on behalf of Zuni. We all know, I mean, I've been out there, people have been talking, what's wrong with IHS? How come we have a shortage of employees and things like that? Those are real concerns. So to that, I, so IHS, the school district, even our housing, but land, and because we all know we say we own our land. We don't. We own the leasehold to that land, right? But even that, um, we can get streamlined, create more efficiently. But those are things that take time. And I also had the opportunity and was blessed to serve as the tribal administrator for a very short time. My priorities there was efficiency, number one. Number two, customer service. Because if you look at our tribal government and everybody that comes to our tribal programs for help, those are not only our constituents, they are our customers. And sometimes we can be super, what's the word? Um, Tough, rough. There's another word and it'll come to me, but we can be really grumpy with our own people. And I understand that to an extent. However, I also feel like if you have taken on the responsibility to serve our people in a certain way, we should probably understand that we need to pay, or that we are being paid to serve our people. Mm-hmm. It's free to be kind. It's free to extend a smile. Just, hey, how are you doing? But a lot of times we're met with very harsh, that was the word. We're very harsh with each other. That's personal, right? And there's not anything that I can do as a tribal council person to change that other than to really lean into my belief that any family or business, tribal organization, any organization are only as good as its leaders, right? And so I'm really excited to be able to run with, not necessarily against each other, but people have thrown their hat into this ring in hopes of elevating our people. And I'm hoping to be on the end team and lean on each other's skills, knowledge, and abilities, talents. We have such talented people here. But I would love to use my critical thinking skills to dig even deeper because everything is surface, everything is general until we get in and peel back the layers and say, why do we have a shortage of healthcare professionals that want to come here? Why can't we open our minds and have, what you and I were discussing earlier, a water filtration system? Why can't we have access to tribal lands, leaseholds that can be put in a pot and divided because we have up and coming young people and they go off and get their education, whether it's vocational or straight to college or whatever, and they come back. You and I probably are a product of that, right? And we come back and we don't have anywhere to live, or we have to move in with family, and we know that's difficult. And we do it, but there just isn't the resources, right? I believe we can create those resources, and everybody's like, well, what about the money? It's going to cost money. We have financial professionals who are Zuni that understand finance and understand setting up trusts and things like that that we can tap into. I just really appreciate the talents that we have here in Zuni, and we haven't even tapped those resources. And I believe that the further that we go, we need to work together. Whoever is at the end of the day, the six that end up in the council need to work together to learn that they're not against each other. So, which brings up another thing for me. It's like, what's my platform? I know what's important to me, but I can't go in to a council and start making the other councilmen and councilwomen to say, hey, we need to do this way because this is, we're all coming in together with ideas. However, with me, I know what's important to me, but it doesn't serve me in there. What serves our people is what's important to them. And so I'm really of the firm belief that we need to come in and just be a team. Are we all going to agree? Absolutely not. Does everybody agree all the time? No. But the one thing I really want to bring back to tribal leadership is absolute diplomacy. I want to bring back dignity to just the positions of governor, lieutenant, councilman, because it's not about us. It's about elevating our community for our future. I have grandchildren that I absolutely want them to come back and be here in Zuni and learn all the things and take part in what happens here, whether the religious side or just coming back for things like the fair or harvest dance or whatever, just so that they can be a part and that they know they have roots here. But it's hard when there isn't resources for them to come here. But I really believe that there are many Zunis here. Look at us. We are a pueblo full of entrepreneurs. We're not uneducated. We're we're very resourceful. Trust me, if there are parents out there that want to take their kids to, let's say, a basketball tournament, I see them hustling out there, try to support the local economy, which means some days we don't cook. We get to go support the local economy, right? But my point is that I think that one of the things that we can do is help those entrepreneurs get, get legal, set up LLCs, do those kinds of things, which I know is doable and can be done because I'm a business owner. I've gone through that process and I'm excited to share that information with people as well. So, coming full circle, I am just excited to throw my hat in the ring and be able to, just help my people with some of the skills that I've acquired through my long life. And so, those skills I can name are just public administration. I understand how tribal government works. I understand the nuances between the tribe and the state and the connections and the relationships that absolutely need to be built between all, other tribes, counties, the state, and federal entities. I am not afraid to get out there and put my best foot forward for my people. I'm not afraid to say what our needs are. And foremost, I'm not afraid to ask. I will go and do what we need to do to develop those relationships and to bring those services to our people, to be able to be like, ask the hard questions. And lastly, I would say I'm holding myself accountable for that because there are a lot of people here who want to say a lot of things, but don't because they probably feel like nobody cares. I know because I felt that way. I do care. I care about our community. I care about our elders. And I want there to be, I want to leave a legacy of, you know, home and roots for not only my grandchildren, but everybody's kids here and grandkids. I know we don't talk a lot about the 7 generations to come, but imagine all the candidates that are here or whoever gets into council, imagine them coming together with a certain energy and frequency, and we start to make those changes. It takes people who have the courage to kind of not care what anybody else thinks of them because I think that limits us.
Mhm.
Um, and so I want to be able to be a part of a team that comes together and say, what can we change? Because that's what I hear a lot. This needs to change, that needs to change. But we all know that in order to change, there is a there is something called accountability. Every one of us has to be accountable for any changes that we want to make. And secondly, we need courage to change. I've always said I want to stop certain cycles in our, not only in our family, but our community. I am a change agent. I know we have a community full of change agents, and it's those that will help make this happen. Is it going to be easy? Probably not,
Mhm.
because change is hard. But imagine a village full of people who do want that change, are accountable for it, and stand strong, and mostly have the courage to stand strong for our future communities.
Mhm.
So I'm probably totally rambling, but those are things that I just wanted to share. It's long. You can edit.
No, 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 no. I mean, like I said, you got all the time, but that's good that your theme of running is good. I mean, because it focuses on the younger generation, and that's what we need to focus on. Yeah, because our younger generation is, where are they? Where are they? Because I mean, I can see. when I was young compared to the younger generation now. So I mean, I can understand what you're saying about that. And yes, it does take a lot of courage. When I first started this video podcasting, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're doing this, you're doing this." I said, "Show me, show me."
Mm-hmm.
Those people that
Yeah.
raised the issue never came back, and I said, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna hold it against them." I said they're just, if that was their concern, and I asked them to show me, and they don't show me, so but they. But again, I understand what you're talking about. So, but
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate candidates coming up and talking and introducing themselves and about their platform and everything because you know we need to see. I was looking at the candidate list, and of all the council people, only one of them wanted to return, and I had a big question like, why? Why just one? And I said, and then one is backing down, and I said, why? I mean, and so I said, well, that's okay. I mean, all have a right to do that. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this younger generation want change. They want change, like yesterday, not now, but yesterday, because that's why they're out there. I mean, they're doing
Right.
good out there. I mean, I got a lot of young people that are out there in big cities that are working and man, I'm glad Zuni got rough on me because when I finally made it here and got on a routine of my job and pay my bills and everything, when I got in a routine like that, I realized that I have a big responsibility now. If I want to
Mm-hmm.
live this life, my responsibility has grown. Whereas when I was in
Right.
Zuni, it wasn't like that. I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm glad, I'm good. I encourage them to continue. But again, I encourage them to continue their spiritual life too out there, not just
Mm-hmm.
go out there and be themselves. No, I said, bring your spiritual life with you. It doesn't take that
Right.
much. Understand who
Mm-hmm.
you are. So that's one of my big pet peeve about teaching spirituality. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just passing down what my elders passed down to me, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that you know I have shared that people may throw a fit, but I say, how? I mean, what do you understand about that? But it's okay. And I'm
Yeah.
glad people like you are
Mm-hmm.
stepping up because we're not here to please everybody. But those that are
No.
pleased are going to be supportive. But those that are not, they can maybe look into you and say, "Oh, okay, I understand," and change their ways. But you know,
Well, on that note, I really do like I really am open. If anyone has any questions for me, reach out on Messenger. I'm sure half of everybody has my phone number anyway. I have a wash, dry, fold laundry because we don't have a laundromat here, and so my phone number's out there. But just to recap everything, I just want to reiterate the five things that I really am passionate about. That's number one is our families,
mhm.
supporting to heal families from whatever it is, right? I feel like in healing our families, we have that behavioral health aspect that needs to be focused on. Treatment, halfway coming out of treatment, and then treatment for the family because you can't just pop the person out, send them treatment, come back and put them right back into the same environment because then it just, we all know it kind of goes back and it's not productive. Safe neighborhoods, strong community connections. We had our first meet and greet here. And it was so cool because we had neighbors come and it's like, wow, we don't really talk to each other. So I love that we can provide those strong community connections, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mentioned pathways to land lease ownerships for our younger generations. Secondly, the youth, we have to really invest in that education. I know that sounds like redundant. Everybody says that, but how? Not everyone is cut out for college. Not everyone. We have we have Zuni kids that are mechanically, you know, intelligent. They're mechanical geniuses. STEM, STEAM, all those kinds of things. We need mechanics here in our community. We need construction workers. We need HVAC people. Like there's nothing wrong with the trades,
Yeah.
right? And then teaching them leadership development. One of the things that I was so like, I really wanted to just develop this parks and recreation department in the tribe because, you know, you go out to Nutria, everything's busted up out there. I would love to go camping and fishing out there, just pull up the tent or the trailer, whatever, right? But we don't have that. How many of our youth are missing out on those kinds of things and just coming back to nature without the electronics, without the phones? I mean, I say kids, but it's us too, right? Um, Mentoring. We can mentor our kids. We
Hmm.
can provide career opportunities. In my little cleaning business, I, you know, hired a young person, just 18, it's her first job, and she was so excited. There was some learning curve, you know, show up on time, come with a good attitude. It's about personal accountability. Give them those opportunities to learn that. Economic development, support local entrepreneurs. But here's the thing with this, we need to build a solid workforce. I was talking to companies that come into Zuni, and of course, you know as well as I do that they are required to hire our people. So with this particular company, I was like, that's so exciting. How many Zunis did you hire? And they were like 30, little around 30-ish somewhere. But that only lasted 3 weeks. What? And we're only down to three. And I thought, okay, why? So I start asking the questions. What happened? Like, here was the number one thing. They couldn't pass a drug test. They couldn't show up on time. After the first paycheck, you know, it was just like, oh, okay. But to me, I'm not like, oh, those bad people. No, it's like, you know what? Some of these young people just haven't had the opportunity to express themselves and really learn these things, right? There's an
Yeah.
opportunity for teaching. More business partnerships here in Zuni. Um, the fourth thing is really our culture and tradition. Protect our language. I am so excited that so many people have approached me and said, you know what? We know you know, you don't speak Zuni um, fluently. We are here to help you. Do you know how awesome that feels? Instead of, that's not how you say it, you know? And so it's been fun to really learn how to even say as simple. I felt like a kindergartner when I was making my Zuni introduction, but learning our greetings in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, like those things, I'm now not embarrassed or shamed to try and say, right? And so I'm really grateful for those people who, and you all know who you are, that have stepped forward and said, hey, we'll teach you. I love that. And so protecting our language, protecting our traditions. I'm not a traditionalist because, you know, some families have that because they've been blessed to have people who carry it on. Ours isn't like that. But I have also noticed that there's a large number of Zuni families who fall into the same category I do. And they too need representation. And I feel like I would represent that facet of our community, that demographic of our community. I would serve them well because I have walked those in those shoes, right? And then lastly, clear leadership, open communication, fiscal responsibility, and accessible leadership. And, you know, I mean, it goes without saying, every municipality has town hall meetings or there's city meetings, there, you know, those things. In Zuni, we have duly called meetings. Those are open to the public. And so I'm just really excited to expand where we're at. And those five categories are what what is important to me: our families, our youth, economic development, culture and tradition, and clear leadership. But I'm also listening. I'm listening to what the people want. And so, with that, I'm just going to humbly ask for my people's vote so that I can get in and really represent you and peel back the layers of what we need you to get done and have, just to have that courage to do so. And with that, I just come to you today with a heart full of gratitude and hope. And I want to just thank you, Greg, for again just being you, getting out there and doing your thing. That's what a lot of us, want to do, and we
Yeah.
can be trailblazers for those who want to follow in those footsteps.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your ideas, your goals, and your
Mhm.
platform. And I wish you all the luck. And I'm not gonna, you know, make a decision on my own until everybody has said their words. Because I'm the one that's more. I don't
Yep.
see, I don't hear it, I don't do anything. But with contemplative employment, I observe.
Hmm.
I observe in the back, and I don't say nothing.
Yeah, and I yeah,
And when
yeah,
it's all said and done, that's when I come in and I say, okay, that's it. So again,
yeah.
thank you for your time. And if you hold on, I'm gonna stop the recording so we can talk a little more. Okay. So One
Okay,
Nation
thank you.
Tribal Alliance, thank you for listening. And this is Kelly Noble running for council in the Zuni tribal government. Thank you.
Thank you.